Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I'm going to be talking about audiobooks that you must listen to, especially if you're a beginner. All of these audiobooks are New York Times bestsellers or international bestsellers, and I genuinely feel that the listening experience of these audiobooks is a little bit better than the reading experience. All of these audiobooks are available on the Storytel app. I've spoken about this app many times on my channel, but if you guys don't know, Storytel is an audiobook app where you can access over 2 lakh audiobooks for a minimal price of just 299 rupees per month. Now, these audiobooks are international bestsellers. They can be Indian audiobooks that are narrated by some Indian celebrities and authors, or also Indian audiobooks available in multiple Indian languages. I think around 11 Indian languages, if I'm not mistaken. And you can access all of this only for a price of 299 rupees. So if you're a book lover who is on a budget, then I really think that Storytel is a great option for you because you can really listen to and consume many books for a cheap price. So if you haven't, definitely check out the Storytel app. Now, without further ado, let's just get started. The first audiobook that I want to talk about is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, you guys know that this is one of my all-time favorite books. I absolutely adore this book, and the audiobook is also just perfection. What this book is about is that it basically follows the life of Evelyn Hugo, who was a really famous Hollywood actress in the 1950s and 60s. And Evelyn Hugo is basically narrating her entire life story to a journalist who is going to publish her biography. And through this narration of her life story, we get to know all of Evelyn Hugo's struggles as a Hollywood actress. We get to know how she built her career. We get to find out more about her unapologetic attitude and also why she had 7 husbands and all the secrets of her love life. Now, the audiobook for this is a full cast audiobook. So basically there are 2 narrators, one for Evelyn Hugo and one for the journalist to whom she is narrating her story. But the thing that I loved about the audiobook is that the narrator for Evelyn Hugo is just absolutely perfect. She really captures the essence of the character so well, like what I said about her unapologetic attitude, her fierceness, her vulnerability. She really captures that entire essence of Evelyn Hugo. It's just absolute perfection. So listening to it was such a treat because, seriously, she brings the character of Evelyn Hugo to life and just elevates the entire experience. The next one is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Now, I have spoken about this book many times on my channel, but I recently discovered the audiobook and it was so much fun to kind of relive the entire experience of this book through the audiobook. Now, this book basically follows a bunch of characters as they go on adventures in space. So it's a science fiction book about space adventures. But the thing that I love most about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the kind of absurd, witty, sarcastic, extremely funny writing style that Douglas Adams uses for this book. This book is the perfect example of dry, sarcastic, witty British humor. And the reason the audiobook completely blew my mind is because it is narrated by Mr. Stephen Fry, who is the perfect example of bringing dry, sarcastic, witty British humor to life. Just his innate Britishness makes this entire audiobook so much fun to listen to. The audiobook originally is around 6 hours long, but if you change the speed, so you know how you can change the speed with which you listen to the audiobook, if you change it to 1.5x, the audiobook becomes 3.5 hours long, which I think is the perfect way to spend an afternoon where you can just sit back, relax, and listen to the hilarious Stephen Fry narrate you space adventures. The next one is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. One tip that I can give you guys about listening to audiobooks is that if you're finding certain physical books a bit difficult or intimidating, or you're just not able to get into that physical book, then listen to the audiobook version. It really helps me, and it kind of makes it easier to read more intimidating and difficult books. Now, while Sapiens is not a difficult book per se, it is a non-fiction book, and if you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know that I find it quite difficult to get into non-fiction books. So listening to the audiobook version of this really helped me get through this book, and it just made the entire experience a lot less intimidating. And again, like, I could get through this book much faster, and it was easier for me to read a book that I wasn't able to get into. So definitely try that if you guys haven't. But essentially, Sapiens is the story of all of humankind. So it talks about the entire evolution of humans right from the time when we had evolved from apes until modern time. It talks about really fascinating issues, but it also talks about ways in which human beings can be a little bit like damaging to the earth. So it's a really good book for like introspection and also just to understand the evolution of humanity. So yeah, very, very intriguing book. Definitely check it out. The next one is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sapiens. This book is just an absolute masterpiece. I really, really, really love this book. And again, the audiobook was just amazing because it was narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the lead of the Broadway play Hamilton. Again, Lin-Manuel just brings these characters to life. The way he narrates it is so engaging and so amazing. Like, this book in itself is absolutely amazing. Like, the way it's written, the character development, just the stories of friendship and the bond between the two main characters who are Aristotle and Dante, and also just the coming of age story of these characters, how they explore their sexuality, how they deal with the relationship with their parents. Like, all of this in itself is amazing. But then to have Lin-Manuel Miranda actually bring these characters to life and give them a voice, and just like, it just takes it to the next level. The other thing about this book is that the way in which Benjamin Alire Sapiens has written this book is that he's framed the sentences in a way that they are extremely short. So they're very short sentences that are kind of like put together to form paragraphs. So it kind of has a poetic feel to it. And again, that helps the audiobook because when Lin-Manuel is narrating it, it sounds like poetry. So like when you're listening to it, it transports you into that world, and I don't know, it was just a really, really amazing experience. So again, definitely check out this book and listen to the audiobook. I highly, highly recommend. The next one is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This book is about an inquisitive young girl who moves into a new house with her parents. And because her nature is extremely inquisitive and curious, she loves going exploring. One day she stumbles upon a door which, when she opens it, it leads her into another dimension, which is filled with monsters and demons and just really strange and scary and creepy creatures. The amazing thing about the audiobook is that it is narrated by Neil Gaiman himself. There is just something absolutely spectacular and magical about having the author of the book narrate the book to you, because I feel like the author is someone who obviously knows their characters the best. Like, Neil Gaiman would know his story and his characters better than anyone else on the planet. So listening to the author narrate the audiobook kind of gives you insight into the mind of the author as to how he would have envisioned this particular character's voice, how he would have envisioned, you know, the narrative style of the story. So it's just a very, very interesting experience. The next one that I want to talk about is A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I have an entire vlog where I have read this book, and it is just one of the most beautiful and amazing and heart-wrenching stories that I have ever read. And I recently stumbled upon the audiobook because I wanted to revisit this book, especially after hearing everything that's happening in Afghanistan. I wanted to revisit this story, and I actually found the audiobook on Storytel. So I started listening to it, and it was such a moving and amazing experience all over again. Basically, this book is about the lives of two women who are affected by the different political struggles, turmoil, and war that was happening in Afghanistan. And like, the Taliban had a direct effect on the lives of these two characters, which are there in the book. So now this book is like, I don't know, it's just even more important to read right now, especially with everything that you hear that's happening in Afghanistan. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. Audiobook is narrated by the actress who is there in Kite Runner, the same actress. So she is like, she's half Iranian, half Afghan. So she has like the right accent and she has the right nuance to portray these characters. It was just a really beautiful experience listening to this audiobook. So yeah, definitely recommend it. The next one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Now, this book basically follows our main character Pippa, who is reopening an investigation into a past case where she believes that the person who was arrested for the crime or who was charged for the crime is actually innocent. What makes this book really unique is the way that it's structured. So you have like the story of what's going on with Pippa, but throughout the book there is like an inner monologue of Pippa's journal in which she's kind of recapping who she thinks are the suspects and who she thinks is the actual person who committed the murder. And then there are also excerpts from police interviews and press interviews which are there throughout the book. So what makes this audiobook really amazing is that it is a full cast audiobook. So the internal monologues have like a narrator, as well as the different interviews which are there also have different narrators. So it's a very immersive experience. It's a very captivating mystery novel in itself, but the audiobook just makes it even more immersive. So yeah, highly recommend. The next one is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, this is one of the best written fantasy books on the planet. It is so good in terms of world building, in terms of character development, in terms of the way wars are described. Just everything about this book series is absolute perfection, and it is so amazing. But it is very intimidating and it can get difficult to read. This is why I highly recommend listening to the audiobook, especially if you're a beginner. I feel that listening to books is a lot easier to digest and a lot less intimidating than actually physically reading them, because a really thick book or something that's like difficult to understand when you're reading becomes less intimidating when you listen to someone narrate it for you, or like, you know, a 500-page book versus just 20 hours, which if you actually listen to it at 1.5x or 2x speed is only 10 or 12 hours. Like, you know, just 10 hours versus 500 pages somehow sounds less intimidating, at least for me. If you're a beginner and if you really want to experience the best fantasy book ever to be written, then definitely check out the audiobook. Honestly, Lord of the Rings is an amazing experience. It is something that everyone, if you're a fantasy lover especially, should read at least once in their lifetime. So yeah, definitely check out the audiobook and listen to it, because it will make it easier. And the last one that I want to talk about is Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. The amazing thing about Agatha Christie's books is that the way she writes the entire murder investigation is so immersive and so engaging that it keeps you gripped throughout the book. So like, she really details out, you know, the lead investigator questioning all of the suspects, gathering all of the clues, and just you follow along the investigator as he is kind of solving the entire mystery. So it's very immersive, and I just love reading Agatha Christie's books because of that. But what makes the audiobook really interesting is that this one is actually narrated by Kenneth Branagh, who plays Gilderoy Lockhart in the Harry Potter movies. He's also, I believe, the director who directed the adaptation of this book, which is Murder on the Orient Express. And he's also the director who directed Thor. So if you're a Marvel fan, he's the one who directed the first Thor movie. And he's just a brilliant actor, basically. So the way, again, he has kind of voice acted all of the different characters which are there in the book, especially Hercule Poirot, who is the main character, like the detective in this book. The way that he has voiced him, especially with the French accent, and also the way he's done different accents for different characters and just brought them to life, again makes this even more immersive. Like, Agatha Christie's writing itself is very immersive, but again, the way that Kenneth Branagh has narrated everything makes it even more immersive and even more engaging. The other thing about this book, which is absolutely fantastic, is the ending. Like, the twist will blow your mind. So yeah, it's just a very, very fun and entertaining mystery thriller experience that I feel you have to experience for yourself. So yeah, definitely check out the audiobook because Kenneth Branagh was amazing. So yeah, that was my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I mentioned before, all of these books are available on the Storytel app, so I'll leave links to them down in the description, and I'll also leave a link where you can download Storytel if you want to. Again, like I said, it is only 299 rupees per month, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know if you guys have listened to audiobooks, what you think about them, and which is your favorite audiobook. And of course, do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.